Hello, and welcome back to the Modern Learning Overhaul Series, a series where we take a look at a pivotal shift towards the future of education is coming, and we need to be ready for it. In the past couple of videos, we've talked about how modern learning architects are teachers in the district who are hardcore and ready to go in the modern learning world and are ready to incorporate modern learning techniques into their classroom and bring a learner-centered culture to their students, where they feel that their students are empowered to take ownership of their learning. Then we started talking about how do we incorporate professional development and how do we redesign it to be more modern. And then we lead into how learning plans need to be centered around the student and how learning plans should be the focal point of any modern learning structure. And today we're going to be focusing on the digital ecosystem, how we can take all of these different parts, all of these different pieces, and bring them all together into one location for students, parents, staff, faculty, everybody to have access to so we can all learn and grow together. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So, our breakout session for today, number 4, is digital ecosystems. And what is a digital ecosystem? Well, our digital ecosystem here at Eastern York School District features 4 different sort of components, and our components are this. We have 2 portals, one for our teachers and one for our students. They are websites that we've built and put together that involve a bunch of different facets. So our instructional portal is strictly for our teachers. That incorporates things such as all of our professional development opportunities that we've had in the past. We have an archive for teachers to refer back to, all of our matrices, all of our learning resources, all professional development resources have been stored there for their use. We also have a learning plan database that we store all of our learning plans on so they're easily accessible and easily referred back to. Then we created a learning portal for our students. And this learning portal was huge because we wanted a way for when we returned in the fall after this pandemic hit us in the spring to be fully prepared to shift from remote to blended to full-time in person and back and forth, no matter what was going to be thrown at us. So we wanted to be future-proof and future-ready. So that's why our learning portal was developed with the idea that virtual classrooms would be another way that we can socially and emotionally connect with our students. So this is digital ecosystems in our Modern Learning series. So let's give a snapshot of where we're at. So on our timeline, we had our closure back in March. We had a remote learning website that was developed, and that sort of became out of date because we did learning playlists, which were great, and we ended up taking a right turn. We made a pivot, and then we decided to consciously make a pivot towards modern learning and make a conscious and devoted effort to bring empowerment to our students. So then we switched to, after we did full-time remote, we then started focusing on instructional portals and learning portals. Okay, so for students, we ended up developing a learning portal, and each building has a launch pad, a virtual classroom. So I'm going to actually open this up. We're going to take a look at So each building ended up having its own virtual launch pad, which housed all of the classrooms that were in the district that students could easily go to, parents could go to. It was open for them to go on, view what the assignments were, how they could connect, little personal touches from their teachers, and we'll talk about why that was important later on. And then we had this one-stop shop for all of our teacher resources throughout the district, because again, we're creating all of these resources and it was starting to get lost in the Google Drive world. So we wanted a way to streamline everything for our teachers, so we developed the EYSD instructional portal. So having these 2 sites to streamline everything, keep everything safe and everything secure and linked together was imperative to success. Organization is key, especially in a digital world. So we had to start discussing how we were going to keep the flow for our students. We wanted the least amount of clicks it took for our students to get from point A to point B. So we decided that we were trying to keep everything to the law of 3. 3 clicks to get to where your classroom was. So we had a launch pad. So everybody would start on the portal. They would select their classroom. The classroom would take them to their virtual classroom of their teacher, which ended up being like a Bitmoji classroom that I know that was all the craze this past year. But teachers could put in their own personal pictures. They could put in pictures of their family or their physical classroom, just some personal touch to make students feel connected, especially our remote learners that weren't going to connect at all personally with us in the fall, other than virtually. Then we ended up connecting our learning plans through those virtual classrooms. So teachers had control over their virtual classrooms, and then their classrooms had access to the learning plan, which was accessible through the Launchpad. So we tried again, keeping all of the things streamlined, keeping the flow for our students to be able to access. So our virtual classroom integration, here's the thought behind this. Consistency across the district really helps family members who are supporting students at home. We don't know who's going to be at home with our students, and I brought this up in every single video that I've done here. Some students have the luxury and the blessing to have a bunch of people be a support system at home, whereas other students don't. And that's just the reality that we live in. Some parents have to work, and their students are left home alone, and that's okay. We just need to be able to streamline everything as best as possible and keep lines of communication open as best as we can. So consistency. So if you have a kindergartner or if you have a 12th grader in the same house, we need to make sure that a parent can look at those two things and know exactly where to go for each one without having to dissect two different learning management systems or two different websites. Having one location that they both go to is really helpful. Personal touches humanizes lists of instructions and activities, especially for our younger students. We need to make sure that we're keeping in mind that a kindergartner needs a much different virtual classroom than, say, a high schooler. So that's just something cognitively that we need to be aware of. And then remote readiness, this infrastructure that we have in place is for a full transition to remote learning if needed. We started back as a blended model, and we ended up transitioning to a full-time model as well. So we can easily transfer to any model that we want using our virtual classrooms. So this builds familiarity among students because we're still using it with our students that are here full time. They know to go here and access their information. So we are keeping everything consistent for not only the parents at home or the relatives at home, but also for the students as well. Hey, on the teacher side, we wanted a way that we weren't going to lose all of these learning plans that we were developing. I don't know about you, but Google Drive can easily become a void of despair. It is easily, especially when you have multiple hands in the pot moving things around, it is very tough to keep everything organized. So I developed a learning plan database search engine which allows us to collect all of our learning plans into one location and then go further than that, and we can search by grade level, department or subject. We can search by course, keywords, standards, contributors, and so on. And this can be applied to any resource within the district. So if we wanted to expand this to lesson plans, or if we wanted to expand this to district-wide shared resources, we could. Again, just a simpler, more streamlined approach towards sharing content and being transparent with our teachers and our staff. So that's our instructional portal houses all this, and then there's just again a look at that filtered list of here's a third grade with a whole bunch of information on it, and then we ended up using a Google form to collect all of these that automatically appear in the learning plan database. So that was really cool to see. That was just a brief little snapshot of our digital ecosystem. Very straightforward, but some of the key sort of takeaways from here is you need to develop a way to organize and house all of the digital district resources for staff, students, and parents. What I will do is I would like to set up some. So next up to close out this video, what I'd like to do is just give a brief recap. So in the digital ecosystem world, we need to make sure that we are creating things that are easily accessible for students, for parents, for teachers, and is a one-stop shop sort of for everything. So Google Sites is a great tool to use. Google Docs are great to use because they can be made visible. So using those tools that we already have at our fingertips and at our disposal, just using them in a better way or a more effective way is really, really key if we want to bring that back to a more modern approach, or a modern learner approach. Scratch that. So, in recap, we want to develop a way to organize and house all of these district resources for not only our teachers, but also our students, our parents, our faculty members, our administrators. Everybody needs to be involved in this process, and provide a way that we can easily access all of this information, because communication is going to help us through the toughest times. So having open lines of communication through our digital ecosystem and through our digital resources is the best way to start that out. So building a digital ecosystem is something that can be easily done with a little bit of help. So if you'd like help with this, you can contact me at info@joshuakorb.com, or hit me up on the website at www.info.joshuakorb.com. And next up, we're going to be talking about mastery badging, where we're really looking forward to taking this to the next level and rounding out this 5-part series where we're taking modern learning to the next stage and bringing education to the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.